You win this battle, man, I'll soon be dead. I'll glue your face to my dick so I can fuck with your head. I got metaphors coming through my pores. You probably never been in a battle before, so I hope you realize your mistake. There ain't no party, got some candles, this won't be a piece of cake.
Folks, welcome to the Before Hours podcast, internet radio phenomenon hosted by an occasional morning person. I ask the most interesting people I know about their sleep, their routine, life, love, stress, and setbacks. If you want to talk to us, you may do so in one of two ways. You could email us at the4hourspodcast@gmail.com, or you could slide into my DMs on Instagram, Bobby Sheehan, LOL, because you know I bring the laughter. And this week we have professional bodybuilder, amateur chef, and my close friend since childhood. Welcome back to the podcast, Rob Van Sand. How you doing, Rob?
Good, man. It's cool being back here too. Honestly, we had a lot of fun on the last one. A lot of good feedback, but maybe on the wrong thing.
Oh, I believe any publicity is good publicity, Rob.
No, you're right. You're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. It was just a lot of worship.
We
is the best way to describe it.
So for anybody that hasn't listened to the first episode that you and I had together, which I recommend you listen, I guess we should sort of set the scene for people. Because we talked we talked for an hour about, your personal life. We talked about what it was like for us growing up in upstate New York. We talked about how you got into bodybuilding, how I got into comedy, anything that, two friends that hadn't seen in a while would get into and catch up on, because we did grow up together. But I think for like 10 minutes of the podcast, you were like, because you are a professional bodybuilder, so you're like, there's a weird subset of the bodybuilding fandom, which is gay men that just love muscly guys. Yeah. And without thinking much about it, I clipped that conversation because I was like, this is pretty interesting. And I put that 10 minutes about muscle worship on YouTube, and it exploded. It's my most viewed long clip to date.
Yeah, it's over 53,000 views as of like the other day.
It's crazy. I don't know. How are you handling the fame?
Fortunately, it's not pointed at me. It's pointed at you. It's
Mostly
pointing at the guy who helped me get ready for my last show. There's a lot of requests for pictures. I did get one very nice message the other day, which I may have sent you. I know I posted it. The guy lived too far away, but wanted to worship me. He isn't, presumed male, is in love with me, which is good. That makes one person, so that's cool.
I think his love might be very surface level.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I know he's hoping to penetrate and get below the surface, but with that one, I don't know. It's fun though. It's very fun. It's fun to share this stuff. It's interesting in like the most bizarre way. So that kind of sets up the scene for what that conversation was with as you said, like the subculture of bodybuilding with like the muscle worship, the gay for pay, and it extends to women as well. Like I mentioned on last time, I knew a woman that was and actually went through. If I'm not misunderstanding, like squeezing the guy's head with their thighs and just like related activities.
Yeah. So guys that want to be dominated by very strong women that are bodybuilders, some of those women will accept payment to do not overtly sexual things, but sexually adjacent, I guess, like crushing someone's head with your thighs. It's certainly not, it's not vaginal, anal, or oral sex, but it's as close as you can get, I think, right? It's somewhere between those three things I described and foreplay, right? Because it's more intense than foreplay.
It's a little more intense than foreplay.
Because if you were like, hey, I went on a date and we made out a little bit and I touched her titties above the shirt, I'd be like, that's pretty cool. But then if you were like, she brought me back to her house and squeezed my head with her thighs, but then nothing else, I'd be like, that's a little extra. I'd rather tell you that story. Like, quite honestly, I don't know that I necessarily want to be like subjected to that, but I would much rather have a story like that. Yeah.
Anything else would be a little boring. If I'm going to say something, all of my dating, everyday experience I have is like terrible. So I'd rather have something that like kind of lives up to the hype of that versus just like, oh, it showed up, she, found 20 pounds around the way, or all of a sudden her hair's gray and falling out and she's like 10 years older, which happened 2 weeks ago.
Oh, geez.
I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's I'm not even gonna bother going.
It's
into it,
interesting.
though.
It's what's people's MO when they're dishonest on their dating profiles, because especially looks, because that's easily sussed out upon first meeting.
Yeah. So I just saw a clip of this yesterday on Instagram. I want to say it's the pressure put on women by society to advertise unrealistic expectations, and it's the guy's fault for not being okay with that when they show up looking as they actually are, and the guy gets upset because they lied.
Yeah, I think that's a whole lot of BS, dog.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
I'm willing to hear that both genders go through. I mean, it just sucks to be single and have all the anxiety that comes with that and trying to look your best while we all have limitations, right? But you're putting that on someone else if you falsely advertise. Now, listen, are you going to use your best photos in your dating profile? Yes, but they should be current, and there shouldn't be any overt, you shouldn't be lying. If you're bald, don't wear a headpiece, right? If you gained 20 pounds in the last year, don't use a 1-year-old photo. It's very simple. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think it's very unlikable, but I think you could I'm out of the game now. I'm in a relationship now. Oh. But I mentioned it on the last podcast. Her name is Martha, and she loves Eminem almost as much as I do. Isn't that cool?
That's a little cool. It's a little all right. What else can you tell me about Martha?
What's that?
What else can you tell me about Martha?
Oh, she's very kind, and she is a dog trainer, and she has a dog, which you would appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to give you crap on that one, but no, the dog trainer is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Especially with the dogs I have, I can appreciate the dog trainer.
She has a dog that I describe as a medium brown. Because I don't know breeds, right? Well, now I know that she's like half pit bull, half other stuff, which translates to her being like a medium white and brown, right? But I think medium dogs is where it's at. I'm a little prejudiced towards tiny dogs, and I hate to say it because I happen to know that you have 2 tiny dogs.
6.
You have 6 dogs?
There are 6 dogs.
What?
I think I only ever post like 2 or 3 of them, but yeah, there are 6 dogs.
You have...
Yeah. Like combined, they're almost like a large dog because each one of them weighs like 10 to 20. 2 of them might weigh 20 pounds. Everybody else is like a 10-pound little brat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually just post Kylo because he's actually mine. But my mom's dogs live with me and I take care of them. And she has 5. So that's the 6.
Oh.
The oldest Molly is like 16, I want to say, give or take.
Yeah.
So I rarely ever like post anything with her on it just because she's less active, just kind of in her zone.
And we all know she values her privacy too.
Well, she's also deaf. So as far as her eyes are closed, like there's just no one else in the room. Like it's just always private there. Then you have the twins, Jingles and Noelle, who are blind. Jingles is like the victim mentality of the house. Like everything he does is like an attack on Jingles. The poor guy has like no backbone. The most adorable, cute little stinging little dog in the world, but just like shudders in fear and wets himself over like an unexpected noise.
Same.
Right. His sister Noelle is probably, if Kylo's like my right hand dog, she's got to be my left hand. Like she's my little angry, hates the world thing. Then you have Autumn, Kylo, and Ben, which Ben, I just posted earlier today, has his nice little Adidas sweatsuit on. So he's in a very good mood.
Hell yeah, dude. Is he Slav squatting?
Oh. I'm not going to talk about Ben's business. I don't want to like jeopardize his reputation. He's such a sweetheart.
Right.
But yeah, so it's 6 dogs. 2 of them are on meds. As I mentioned, well, I didn't mention Ben, but 3 of them are blind. So they kind of keep to themselves. But yeah, I guess I kind of keep that quiet just for whatever reason. Like your reaction. Some people think it's just a little nutty and wild, which I think it's fun as hell. Like you can't be bored with it, but it's one of those things where I'm not the crazy cat lady, but I'm pretty close to being the angry neighbor with too many dogs.
6 is approaching too many, respectfully. But you're taking care of your mom's dog, which is nice.
You can't help it though, man.
Yeah.
With her working in vet medicine, it was just like a quarterly experience that a new dog came home like every so often.
That's right. Your mom is a vet. So do you think it comes from her? She's like, I can't let this one go. I'll take another one in.
Yeah. But there was a period of time where we would bounce it off each other, and it's like, whose fault is it? Because she'll send me a picture, like, oh, look at this dog. I'd be like, should we bring it home? Like, I think we have too many dogs. And I'd be like, no, we always have room for one, because that's my fault. But then if I see a dog I wanted, like Kylo or Ben, actually, because I used to work at the vet hospital when we got Ben, and I would call her up to the office, like, hey, Mom, you might want to come down. I think we have our next dog in the lobby. So I can pass it on to her. And then all of a sudden we go from, the one small dog, Molly, it's all of a sudden it's 6. So yeah, working in that environment definitely didn't help the situation. Having 2 members of the family work in the same hospital didn't do us any favors either, because we got 3 dogs in less than a year.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I love the hell out of them. Like they drive me bonkers every once in a while, but like you wouldn't go back and like not take the dogs. If like do it all over again, probably take more if I could. Like quite honestly, the only thing stopping me with that is like my friend Kara, who you met, her dog Van has 1 eye and 1 ear. That was going to be my dog, but it was like 7 might be a little much. I know she was in the market for a dog, so ultimately went to her. So he's my godson by relation. And then so if she needs anyone to watch a dog, like she was just in Italy earlier this year, so I took him. I took her other dog, and then my brother and his wife, I think, went to Brazil. So I had 8 dogs in the house. 6, 7, 9 dogs in the house, actually.
It's crazy that you could have that many dogs in your house and you're not getting paid for it. Like it's not your job. Like you're doing other stuff while also taking care of 9 dogs.
Yeah. I'm sure there's jokes to be made about one that I can't say no to it. It's too much fun for me. And I kind of like to like embellish that idea, like of that angry guy with too many dogs. Like my mom's got her husband, my stepdad, my brother's got his wife. I have too many dogs. I live alone. I've been single for years now. It's like, I'm just going to I'm really going to just like lean into that crutch, right? And just kind of laugh at myself with it. No, it's cool. I like it. But getting back to Martha, your relationship.
Yeah. So, we just went public a couple of weeks ago. So the listeners already know about her. And, watching her interact with her dog is very cool because her dog's a rescue and she's like the sweetest dog. She has her quirks like all animals do. Like she hates bicyclists. If she sees someone zooming on a bike, which happens on the streets of New York often, she's like, I have to bark at this bicyclist until he's out of my eyesight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I do.
Yeah.
No, I got a couple of them that are similar to that.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be a dog guy myself. Now I'm, settling for being a dog stepdad. I'm still not in a place where I could like raise my own dog because I feel like I travel so often that it would be like rude, like mean to the dog.
That's why you're a part-time dad.
Yeah, exactly.
It works out. You can neglect them. You can run away. You don't have to say anything. Just disappear, come back in their lives. It's fine.
I grew up. Well, I had a dog that I don't remember because it died before I was like making memories. And then we just never got another one. I think the experience was like a little stressful for my parents. My mom specifically, my dad, I think, is a dog guy and my mom just kind of isn't. Like my mom dog sits for like family and neighbors that need a dog sitter.
Oh, I didn't know.
But it's sort of like, the expression when you go somewhere, you're like, it's a nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. Yeah. I think that's how she feels about dog ownership. She's like, listen, a dog can be here for a week, but then it's got to go. And when it goes, I'm going to get all the hair off of the furniture and I'm going to enjoy sleeping late. 2 things that you can't do when you have a dog.
Dude, that's starting to sound like me with dating.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll see a girl for like a week or 2 of those, it's really nice and all, but like, listen, like you got to move, you got to get your stuff out and please give me back my shirts. Clean her hair out of the bed. It's the same story, honestly. It's just,
and they're harder to train. Am I right, fellas? Just joking around.
That's what we need, right?
Yeah. That seems to be on your mind a lot. You've mentioned dating a couple times.
I know. Sorry. It's such a, like a recent hot topic. Especially recent. Oh, okay. So this is like a love triangle I never thought I'd be able to experience. And it's quick because I don't want to bore you with this because this stuff, unfortunately, I can be on like such a, God, I can go down like such a hole with this one. So I was just seeing somebody who was a cop in West Milford. Really cool chick seemed to be. The trouble is that Kara and I used to be in a relationship 2 years ago. And both of these girls had been in situationships with the same guy. who I won't even get. He was an interesting character. That's a story for another time. Just like a very manipulative guy. So when she found out that I was also associated with Kara, it just became like this dramatic triangle expression. So she dipped out, and then like one experience for the other. So I do hold a little bit of bitterness for this. Like I shouldn't even be on the apps anymore. I was doing much better when I was off of them. Just talking to my dogs, talking to the wall, talking to the coffee machine. Like it was a much better day to day for me. So I'm going to try to go back to that again.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's first of all, that sounded like a stressful situation.
No, it was funny as hell, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was, I know it sounds stressful here, but this is like, I would have to spend like an honest 2 hours drawing a map in like a tree of like the timeline of everybody having met and dated each other. And I'm not trying to bring that mood onto like this podcast, right? We have limited time and my BS is my own. Versus, I mean, you just were in Scotland for a month. That's far more interesting. Like I became like an honorary member of Newark 2 weeks ago, and I'll get into that story moments. Yeah, no, it was real.
An honorary member of Newark.
Yep.
So for those unacquainted, so Rob and I grew up together in upstate New York, and like about 50 miles north of the city, and around probably the biggest city near us is Newark. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Newburgh. I just got confused for a moment. Newark is a large city in New Jersey, also kind of nearest to us. So
yeah, I mean, the closest airport.
Yeah.
So I mean, if we can argue with that.
So you became the king of Newark?
God damn, I hope not. No, definitely not the king of Newark. Just like a very like
a Don.
Yeah, like they would accept me now. Like they would see and respect me for this.
That's such a funny thing to passively agree to.
I'll just write it, man.
I suppose I'm a Don. Don never wears shorts.
But to kind of set the stage here, throughout, like since turning pro, I've always had like a ridiculous story to go with just about all my preps, or like just like just an ordinary.
And when you say prep, you're like prepping for your bodybuilder show.
Yeah, I apologize. So for people who want to know, like preparing for a show, the diet and all that stuff, like just the weeks leading into an event where I'm getting ready for it. So like,
because I think what some people don't realize is that the way professional bodybuilders look on stage, there's only a window of time in which they look like that. And they have to really dial in their diet and my understanding is that they're on stage, they're very dehydrated. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people certainly are. It just really goes like however you go about it. Like many people could have had like a liter or two or multiple liters of water the morning of before stepping on stage, and that'll affect the look and make them look drier in some instances. But it is such like a there's so many ways to go about it. Like for myself at one show, I was certainly not dehydrated, plenty of water, plenty of food. The following week, however, I would consider myself being very dehydrated for when I step on stage, just with how I manipulated water, using like over-the-counter diuretics to achieve that certain look. Because you're right, it's a very small window. You're on stage for a combined time on like a very large event, maybe like 10, 15 minutes, if that. Like it's not a very long time. Typically, it's even half. But the two shows I did had the better side of like 20 plus or minus people. So yeah, you're on stage for just a little while longer. So getting into that, there's always some odd stories. On the 7th of September, I went to Florida. The week leading up to it, I would end up actually losing a tooth. I was eating, which was...
That's going to affect weigh-in.
It's going to affect weigh-in. It's going to give me a little bit of an edge. And I just barely made it too, actually. So we could owe it to the tooth. Yeah, I was eating a frozen chocolate. And all of a sudden, like I just bite, which I wasn't supposed to be doing, but I had like gone so off the rails at that point. All of a sudden, a tooth just shattered in my mouth, split into 3 parts, and the root of it is actually still in my gums at this moment as a space holder. So I'm just going to kind of keep it in there.
Yeah.
In case like anything goes on.
It's obviously in the back. It's one of the molars.
Yeah. Top left side. You can't see it unless I like fish hook my cheek there. So I got lucky for what it is. Not like a great story in itself, right? Like just a very like odd occurrence. But the next week when I had to fly out of Newark to go to Texas. So that week was rather difficult because when I went to Florida, I didn't have the placing I was hoping for. The look was wonderful. It was the best I'd ever had. Like myself, my coach, and several others agreed with me. Even the MC of the show thought I was supposed to be in the first call out. But it's a beauty pageant, right? So you go on stage, you see what it is. Yes, I could be very happy with my look and others can, but if the head judge isn't approving of it, then it doesn't matter, right? Like I'm thrown to the side and forgotten about. So typically you would, or not to speak generally, but I'll speak about myself. Like the week of the show would be like lower carbs, like just rice, chicken, very clean things, oats, stuff of that nature. The week leading up to the show on the 14th, headed to Texas, my diet was chicken, chocolate, and laxatives. Like that was, I had just like given up all hope. I was so brought down in like every way by like how that show in Florida went, that I was just like, fuck it. And I even wrote an email, I think like Wednesday before the show, to like pull out and ask the promoter, just like, hey, like I can't do this. I was like, let me give it one more day. I'll wake up, see where my weight is. So fast forward, Thursday morning, I made myself to Newark. Again, mind you, chocolate, chicken, laxatives. Like that's the diet. It was fiber at night, laxatives at night, all this stuff. So everything is just like constantly moving on my body. And I'm constantly needing to use the restroom because of things that are just pushing out, the over-the-counter diuretics. Like I'm just like, it's like chemical warfare as far as like getting to the show, which is the worst way to go about it. You never want to do it that way. So I am in my, not superstitious, but like, just like very relaxed clothing. I typically wear the same thing, like just very like baggy, relaxed fit sweatpants, old ripped up sweatshirt. That was actually my dad's from when he was around. So like just like a fun kind of thing. Keep me comfortable, keep me warm, keep the water moving. So mind you, like I look homeless. Like it's just a very homeless look, right? Setting the stage there. And then I have to use restrooms. It's like, okay, cool. Like not to be gross about this, but I usually have like a jug in the car just in case, God forbid, I have to do something. I'm like, all right, oh, there you go. So nature calls and I have to do that. But then the laxative knocks on my door. And it's got to go. And it's got to go everywhere.
And it's not understanding that it has to wait.
No, it's forcing itself out. So
you're prairie dogging.
It's not. Yes. I'm not even going to like paint that picture. Yes. Because I have to be mindful of people are going to watch this. Off air, dude, we can go into it. So it's like balls out. And it's like, I want to say it's like 80, maybe even 90 degrees. There's like the period we had like a really hot time in early September. I'm pouring sweat. I'm just like a homeless guy. I'm soaking wet because I'm sweating and anxiety. And I'm pacing around my car right now trying to figure out what I'm going to do. Because I have to get on a bus to drive me to Newark because I always park in like the economy lot. And I'm not going to make it. Like I'm going to lose a whole lot of weight real quick and I need to figure out where to put it.
Yeah.
I have a paper bag. And there's no one around for what I can see. And I was like, I'm about to commit to like the most disgusting thing I've ever had to do in my life, which is probably the most like hygienic decision I could have made in Newark, right? Given like what anyone else. So, oh dude, I pulled down, sweating through my clothes. I can see the stains coming out. I just go for it. And my soul started crying. Like I was already like at a low point. This brought me lower than low. So now I clean up, stand up. I'm walking to like the bus stop and there's a woman who happens to beat me there. And mind you, I am, again, homeless looking guy, pouring sweat, oversized, torn up sweatshirt, luggage bag, and a full bag of shit in a paper bag in my other hand. And this woman must have just been like horrified as I'm like walking right up towards her. Dude, I just given up hope at this point. Like I just wanted to forget that they ever existed. I just walk up, I'm looking at her. I look at the trash can, throw it in, and it's like, it's Newark, man. Like, is this the craziest thing she's ever seen in her life? Probably not. So that's my terrible story. And then after that, I make it to the airport, and then I have to go into one of those crappy, like, they're kind of nice. Crappy, like, pop-up restrooms that they have in, like, Terminal B, if you've been to Newark recently. Just standing there, pants off, shirt on, just cleaning my underwear, cleaning my clothes in the sink. Just, what the fuck is my life right now? Like, this is what I'm doing. This entire experience, just so I can go stand on a stage in my underwear, spray tan oiled, and just flex for some people I don't know for like 20 minutes. Right? Like that's what it all comes down to.
It's such a great description of like expectation versus reality. Because
yes, I'm so sorry.
No,
keep going with that.
I was just gonna say because
because you made an excellent point right there.
Well,
You're right.
you watch the guys on stage and you're like, they look fucking cool. I would love to look that, but what you don't see is the man walking through
hiding in the Newark,
with a pack of shit.
just like squat down in between two cars, just fucking blowing it into a paper bag.
That was your Eminem and 8 Mile moment.
Ugh.
You got to be on stage, but first you had to, instead of vomiting, you had to shit.
Oh my God, right? Yeah,
in a bag. I mean, dude, you handled it. Listen, that's an emergency situation, and the reason you were shitting is because you're taking laxatives, right?
Yeah, I'm very aware of the. I screwed myself in that one.
I don't even fully. And this might sound like totally ignorant and pedestrian of like how bodybuilding works, but like you're trying to put on weight, right? But you're also you want to shit frequently. Why? What's going on there?
So you're kind of looking at it at like two ends of the same equation, right? Like, yes, are we trying to put on size? We are at a different phase. So that's currently what I'm doing now. Like right now, I'm actively trying to increase my like natural weight, I guess you could say, like where my body feels most comfortable. And then when I do get ready for a show, the purpose is not necessarily to lose weight as much as it is just to lose fat content and like recomposition my body. It just so happens that typically means losing weight, right? You're losing water because your body is getting rid of glycogen. Right. Glycogen holds and stores water in the muscle cells. You're burning fat because you're burning calories, all these things. Eating cleaner. An approach I take, which is fairly popular, is like carb cycling. So like you're manipulating your metabolism to burn more calories than you take in, even though you're still eating like a lot of food. And the further you get into it, like it becomes very interesting. And that's what was so appealing to me. But getting back to your point, for that purpose, and especially with the laxatives, I don't recommend it for anyone. I've never done that before to such an extent. Fiber is one thing, but like I was like ordering those like geriatric laxatives, right? Where it's like people like just too old can't do it.
Right.
Because I was unable to adhere to my plan. So this was my Band-Aid on it. And unfortunately, I would end up doing my best ever at that show. Right? Like how that's another thing. I couldn't even be happy about it because the following week it was like damn near like a perfect week leading into the show. The next week I'm shitting in paper bags and walking on stage doing my best. So it's like the risk, it doesn't make any sense. Like it doesn't add up. But there are quote unquote like no rules to this. The judges don't care.
Yeah, they don't see you with the paper bag. Yeah. They just see the finished product.
Exactly. Expectation versus reality, the point you made up. We're actually looking at the Mr. Olympia competition today and tomorrow. These guys are going to be the best of the best. It's like, okay, well, how many of them just like loaded the bag in airport parking lot? Right. What else did they do? What was their diet? Did they bomb? And it's not unique to bodybuilding in any way, but people put up that front of like a better life. I almost want to start my own podcast or series of what it's like for like realistic expectations. Like I'm not a top guy. I'm not going to be a top guy anytime soon. I do okay. I do all right. Like 7th out of 19 people, I was like very, very happy with. I teased the top 5. Very cool. But I would like to bring that. I mean, I'd probably not want to record myself like shitting in bags and stuff like that. I'll leave out.
That's a different market.
That's the same market as most of the worship guys. Actually, no. Maybe tie that in, get a little more views, a little more messages. There's a niche for everybody, I guess. But we'll see. I think that could be interesting because you have your podcast. I think it's really great that you're doing this. Like how you do stand up is very unique as far as I'm concerned, in that you bring American history into it. You do PowerPoints, all that. And I'd like to see if I can bring my own spin to the bodybuilding podcast market, which is very niche. And it's not like it's going to blow up or anything like that, but it could be just like a very much needed dose of reality in such like a superficial looks based industry. Because nothing about my preps are ever pretty. Like they can go very well, but it's like something's got to happen. Somebody's got to like either die or be dying. And of course there's no different this one. Not to make light of it, but my stepfather is not doing the best with his situation earlier this year with the brain tumor. So it's like fucking A, man. And I don't know that everyone's always so eager to share that because not to any fault of their own, but they just want to focus on the positives and have that, maybe just not share aspects of the personal life, which is totally cool. It's just, I spent almost all of my 20s dealing with like a pretty shit situation with my father. So like, that's all I know. So I don't have like the ego to hide that. I keep my account private just because I do want to post that stuff, but I don't want to have guys coming on to see this and do like the love letters and the weird muscle worship stuff. And then they find out a justice for anything else. So we'll see. It's something I may eventually get into. I'm just kind of focused on other things currently, which is the excuse I make when I'm talking as if I'm going to do something. And truly, I'm just never going to go through it. I'm very busy.
Well, at one point you talked about being a bodybuilder and you eventually ended up doing that. So,
well, I found drugs.
Yeah.
No. No, with that, that's different. Like I can joke about that, but that was different because that came from a spot like we talked about with Catholic school and everything, just like perceptions of each other. Like it was a really good way to celebrate a change. And I have yet that I recognize myself. I have yet to like accomplish. I don't want to use the word hate necessarily, but like wanting to change something so badly about myself that I actually go through with it. And bodybuilding was the first step, right? The drugs and all the crap like that is almost irrelevant. It's such like a small aspect of this because if you're not dedicated, it doesn't matter what you do. Plenty of people do drugs and they don't know shit.
Right.
So yeah. I mean, hey, maybe that podcast can actually be it. Like just being so over as opposed to like angry or hating. Wanting to be away from people that by inviting people into my life and doing all these things, like that could be like this great reflection of that, like this great reward. Like, okay, like I'm, tired of dealing with the people who are going to ask me like how much I bench and all these silly ass questions or like how much for your underwear. And instead aim my target towards like yourself and other people, normal people, other bodybuilders I have, and get different information from them, get different side of the story. Like you come on here and you're asking your guests like their morning routine, how they get this day started, all this stuff. You have a very structured format. And we go off the rails a little bit just because A, we've done this before, and B, we've known each other for how long. But despite what I said about not actually going through this, I've actually thought about it a lot and perhaps shining a different light on the things. We'll see. And I'll probably pick your brain a lot about it too, because you got this, like you started smaller, getting into it, and now you have influences, I have to imagine because of Scotland, like literally internationally.
Yeah, dude, I'm an international superstar.
There you go. So,
yeah, I think there's a market for, first of all, I feel so privileged by the amount of information about exercise and nutrition that's on YouTube. Like the amount of information I've just absorbed passively, is just like I'm washing the dishes. I'll listen to a 10-minute video of like how to best gain, and I wouldn't even know what that word meant a few years ago.
I don't know what that word means. Actually. But cool. You can tell me.
Well, actually, you're the best person to talk about this with because you could tell me if it's BS or not. The idea that you could gain muscle while not gaining fat. Was there a non-laxative way to do that?
As cut and dry as that, I don't believe so. But in a general sense, yeah, absolutely. You just keep it clean, work out, and like steadily increase clean calories. And yeah, I do believe you can do that. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to like make it funny or anything like that. Like, yes, if you're getting that from, I believe you use a lot of like Mike Isertel, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, dude, I love Mike. And I love his Making Progress channel too, even though he's a little bit too libertarian for my liking.
Yeah, so that's why I can't watch him. He's got his personality is great in small doses.
I actually agree with probably 90% of the stuff he says. But yeah, I think he has too much faith in the free market. That's what I think. That's the part where I'm like the most liberal. I'm like, we need to keep the corporations from running everything. You know what I mean?
Perhaps. I mean, you have much more experience with this than I do. I keep a blind eye to it all. It's just either something I don't understand or something like I don't want to understand, and then just have another reason to like be another shill in it, I guess you could say.
What I like about his bodybuilding content is it seems really honest. And like he'll be like, I have supplements and you can buy them or you cannot. But if you don't want to buy my supplements, here's what you should do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which I think is like, obviously, and he makes ad revenue and he's selling things, but the fact that he'll be like, here's how you do it, and it's never easy. He's never like, here's the easy way. That's what gets the scam alarm bells ringing in my head if someone's like, this is easy. Because every video is like, it might not be as difficult if you're catastrophizing. It might not be as difficult as you think it's going to be, but it's not going to be easy. You know, eating several hundred calories even under maintenance is not fun. You feel hungry. You feel tired. You know what I mean? But I don't even know, because my understanding of bodybuilding is like so limited that I bet there's misinformation flying around my brain that I don't even know about. I mean, I don't know if this is an answerable question. Is there like something that stands out as like the biggest myth or one of the biggest myths about exercise and nutrition?
That there's one way to go about it, and everybody has the secret.
Okay.
You know what you're saying? Like the people who advertise everything, like everybody always thinks there's a secret to it. If there was a secret, or if there was a misconception, I guess we'll say, because that's going to better answer your question, is that it's boring. The truth is that it's boring. It's not exciting. I mean, certainly it depends on your definition of exciting, of what appeals to you about it. But to truly get involved with this and to truly be successful and like get those results that you think are almost unattainable is just boring is the only way about it. I eat the same crap every single day. Kind of like at an 80-20 rule. So like 80% of my meals are the exact same thing every single day. And that other 20% will be like the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, pizza, burgers, whatever stuff. And it's a very realistic way to go about it, in my opinion. Once you form that habit, because forming a new habit, generally speaking, is a challenge. Maybe, especially when it comes to fitness, is a lot harder for people. So if I were to say what is like the big misconception of anything, is that it's complicated, because it's really not. People just don't accept diet and exercise as being the answer, because there is Dr. Oz, there are other people, there is all these talk show hosts. They want to make it overly complicated. I think you also follow Athlean X, if I'm not mistaken. Even Mike Israetel, to an extent, like the science-based information makes things complicated, because they need to over-explain everything. They need to draw diagrams and angles and do the demonstrations on the skeletons, which is very helpful. I'm not going to say it isn't, but that's like for somebody who actually has like an understanding of the fundamentals of this stuff, and then can take a step further into the details of like how it's going to work in the biomechanics of everything. If you just start off with hearing chicken and rice, work out 4 or 5 times a week, 4 exercises per body part, that's a solid start. Like that's like damn near perfect, but it's boring. Yeah. People want to know like there's something else to it, right? They want to know that there's a pill, that there's a different way to go about it. Like I used to be one of those guys that did like 8 exercises per muscle group, like 8 exercises for arms is stupid. My bicep can't do anything else than this. Why am I doing 7 different exercises for it? Yeah. I can do 2. I can do 1 if I really wanted to, but you could just do 2. Triceps is the opposite. That's all I'm going to get from it. Why am I going to like blast my arms with like multiple things and angles of pull and everything like that if it just comes down to this? So, but that doesn't sell anything. That doesn't appeal.
If you start cutting out the arm exercises, you might have to add in, God forbid, leg exercises.
Oh yeah, nobody likes that, right?
Yikes! Now I'm doing squats. I'm doing squats like a girl, huh? Dude, some of the girls in the squat rack, they put me to shame.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Same thing for me as well, actually. I don't even have a comment. I don't know your girlfriend enough to make jokes like this. How does she feel about your squats?
I don't know if it's ever come up. Yeah.
Well, it probably has. You guys, unless you're like serving under the eyes of the Lord or something like that. Like, I have to imagine something is demonstrated.
I do think so. She's a dog trainer and also a dog walker. So I think recently we were talking about steps during cardio, and if memory serves, she told me that she gets around 20,000 steps a day. which
That's actually wild.
yeah,
Like I have context for that. That's incredible. Good for her.
yeah, I get so much less than that. And we were DMing about this. I try to keep my DMs asking you about exercise and nutrition advice to a minimum because I'm sure it gets annoying. But I was asking you about cardio because I hate it. I don't like it, but who does? And I have to start doing it, I think.
Yeah. So just for context, like I just recently, so I'm still with Amazon, but like a recently new role, just like get me out of the warehouse. Like now that I deliver, I tracked steps yesterday for like a mediocre day. I did 17,000 steps.
Oh.
So for the fact that your girlfriend's doing 20,000, I woke up the next day, like I genuinely have shoulder pains now. Like my body is just crying all over. So the fact that she's running around doing so much is like exceptional.
Yeah.
So no, that'd be an excellent way. I mean, even for prep, I was only doing like 12,000, 14,000 by the end of it. But like, that's just doing a couple walks here and there.
Is there anything to high intensity cardio? Please say no, because I would hate to have to do it. I know it's good
a
for
boring
heart
answer.
health.
It's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good. Light light intensity steady state is, I believe, how you would break down lists. Light intensity steady state, high intensity interval training, all this stuff. No, it's all excellent for you. You just have to get to it. Sorry, there's so much I want to say, but there's just not enough time. So yes, to answer your question, yes, of course, it's very good. So I apologize to break your heart on that one, but if you can commit to it, it's all excellent. You just have to commit and actually give it time. That's something that's usually like the hardest thing to sell to somebody, is that it's going to take time.
Yeah.
Which is why like personal training didn't work out for me, because I tried to like coddle people and be like, oh yeah, no, you can lose 30 pounds in like 17 days. Like, I'll get you there somehow.
Here's laxative in a paper bag.
Oh, Jesus.
Walk
Yeah,
the streets of Newark.
Dude, that's perfect. I might actually try to sell it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you could sell the Rob Van Sant diet and exercise program.
Chocolate chicken and laxatives. Yeah, that's how you go. It's cheap, man. It's real cheap. It'll work.
So I get where the chicken comes in, and I get where the laxatives comes in. Is the chocolate just so you don't lose your fucking mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the endorphin. So you feel good about yourself after you shit in a paper bag. That's where it comes in. Like, you're just at that low. It's like, how do I not commit suicide? I guess I'll have a chocolate bar.
I'm loving the idea of you're training someone like this, but it's not. You're not training a bodybuilder. You're training Peggy, a middle-aged housewife that just wants to lose the stubborn love handles. Yeah. And you're like, all right, chicken chocolate laxatives. And she's like, well, I don't know if. And you're like, listen, do you want this? Do you get all Jocko Willink on her? Do you want this? Yeah. Do you have the strength and ability to train?
Put a 40 bag, like ruck on her back and just have her run. Just do laps in the Newark airport parking lot. Set up bags everywhere. Like, it's like intervals.
You know, it was a big, a game changer for me. I didn't even know that this was a thing until it started happening to me. When I started working out, I got the newbie gains. And I was like, I'm the best at this. This is what I was meant to do. And then, of course, you get the plateau, like 6 months later. You know what I mean? I think I was, this is all, nonsense that I just thought of. No science behind it at all. I think I'm very susceptible to getting the newbie gains. Like, I got them. Like, I lived my whole life thinking I was a endomorph or whatever. I'm like, I'm just naturally skinny with like a big, sub-Saharan Africa pot belly. The flies are on my head and stuff. And I like touched a weight. And then all my muscles were like, what's up, bro? We've been waiting. Thank you. Thank you for stopping all of the alcohol abuse. And I mean, that was the big thing, right?
Yeah,
dude, I lived my whole life being like, as a drinking man, because I quit drinking when I was 25. And like from, I don't know, 20 to 25, I was just like, I just have a slow metabolism. And it turns out that was completely bullshit. I have a normal metabolism that can't handle 6 to 12 beers a night. That's so many beers. That would be the alcoholic Bobby diet, and your diet is similar in that there's a lot of shitting going on.
There's a lot of shit. It's good. It's effective, man. It worked well for me. It sounds like it did the opposite for you, which is great. But you learned that lesson.
Yeah.
I forget about that though. Yeah, they had that period. But no, like I said, when you came in today, like I've noticed the progress just in the last couple of months. That you have been looking really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. So it's working. So let's talk about your routine then.
Podcast just fades to black. We just compliment each other's bodies and then the podcast ends.
So what's your routine with this? Because you can say your next questions, right? But I don't think I've ever actually like heard your routine about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've told it bits and pieces throughout the podcast because, I ask people and sometimes they ask me back. And it is sort of, it's very regimented, and that's by design because if I'm outside of my routine, I get a little kooky. You know what I mean? I kind of need to, mostly because I just don't have the discipline not to just like doom scroll or, pull up a Wikipedia page and find out what Napoleon was doing as his third year of general. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I wake up and first thing I do is pee. Although I'm in my mid 30s now, so I'm in a very cool wake up in the middle of the night to pee era. Yeah.
Oh,
very fun. We're roughly the same age. Has that happened to you?
Yes. That's why the light bulb went out. I was like, all right, I'm not actually in trouble. This is just what happens.
I've always been, so I've always drank a lot of water and I've always been someone that peed a lot, right? In fact, the worst part of a trip for me, like a road trip, is that I'm dehydrated the whole time. Like I have like dark piss during a road trip, right? Because if I drink the amount of water I want to naturally drink, I'll have to stop like every hour. You know what I mean? And that's no dice, right?
That's why you keep a paper bag and an empty water bottle with you. Take care of that.
I'm pissing in a paper bag.
Yeah.
Instructions unclear. Have a soggy bag in my back seat now.
Yeah, no.
I drink coffee every day. But I keep it to, I have 1 cup in the morning and then maybe I'll have like a DC, which is what I affectionately call Diet Coke in the afternoon. I actually feel a little vindicated because I do eat the same thing every day. And I do track my calories and I sort of have to because otherwise, and this isn't just diet. This is why I have such a regimented routine in general, because I know I could tell myself a story in which I deserve the good things in life. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like if I wasn't like, all right, here's the amount of calories I eat in a day, and here's the amount that gets to be goodies. You know what I mean? If I'm just like, well, I podcasted, and podcasting is hard, so I deserve like an ice cream sundae, right? And maybe, oh my God, I wish I don't even think this guy does comedy anymore, but he once referred to a 20 pack of McNuggets as a fat man's trail mix. And that sticks in my, sometimes most people that start doing open mics, they're going to quit comedy in a few months. Right. And it's sad to see them go, but every once in a while there'll be a gem like that. And I don't even, if the author of that joke walked by me on the street, I wouldn't recognize him. But I think of a fat man's trail mix. I think every time I walk by a McDonald's.
I like it. So let's actually talk. I apologize to steer us in a different direction, but we did actually discuss driving over to Queens, and going to open mic. How are we going to do that? Because I'm trusting you with this. Like I have bits is the word. I've been calling them skits, which is incorrect. Yeah,
I corrected you real fast. I was like, hey.
Set the stage with this then, because you've already done it. Like your new experience,
and this might be helpful for people that think they want to start or just curious about how they work. What I love about open mics is that they're so low stakes.
Okay,
you know what I mean? I think comedy is simultaneously the hardest and the easiest thing to get into. It's the hardest thing to get into because literally you have to practice in front of people. Like when I talk to people that are like, oh, I'm writing jokes now and I'll perform them later. I'm like, that's not how it works. You know, you just got to go up and see how it feels and how your jokes work. It's not, if you're learning how to play guitar, you're probably learning for months before you get in front of people and start playing. Right. Okay. But the only way comedy works is like, in front of an audience. So that's why it's hard, but it's easy because it requires no equipment. It requires no networking to get on. I mean, to get on shows, there's a bit of networking, but just to do an open mic, all you need is however much money it costs to do the open mic and get there on time. And then I don't know if this is depressing or motivating, but there's people that like literally for years just suck. You know what I mean? And no one stops them because no one cares, you know?
Yeah, I don't think that's depressing. I think that's pretty applicable like across the board with anything. Like you can go, like you have your thing with comedy, I have my thing with bodybuilding, but I can go to an amateur show right now and there's guys 50s, 60s who don't diet a day in their life, but they just go over there, do a show because they enjoy it, win a plastic trophy because their competition's dead, and they just walk off stage and there you go, they do the next one. So what you're saying makes sense in that. So get me ready for the first open mic. Like what am I going to expect here? Because you're setting the stage like how to get into it, but like I'm there, I'm backstage, we're about to go. I'm just going to go up there. How do I work the crowd? How do I get quick with that?
So the first thing you do, it's a cheat code, and obviously you could only do it once, but when it's your first time, you just say it's your first time. And usually you go, this is my first time doing comedy. And people clap because they're like, this is the scariest time. Every set you do after the first one is less scary than the first one. The first one's scary.
And I believe that with the cheat code though, admitting that was your first time, because what I've actually done, and I'm not even kidding with this, I've actually done it last 2 times. I've started identifying as autistic so that when conversation doesn't go well with people, it works. They can't say anything, right? If anything, I'm respected. It's like, oh, because look, I'm a pretty big, dim-looking guy, right? So I can come up and just kind of like, and people just think, oh, he's autistic. I understand. And they'll be patient with me. And if I choke on my words, you know, it works, right? Like, can do no wrong. Okay. So
you're not going to believe this, but I think faking a disability is the wrong move.
There's a great spectrum. When I found out about that, I was like, that's the fucking thing, man. Like there's a spectrum of this. I don't even have to be like, I can just walk up and be like, sorry, I'm a little slow. I like the amount of tiles you're standing on right now. I think there's 36. You got it. People thought I was asking too many questions. No, I'm just autistic. Yeah, that's it.
I love that, dude. I mean, weightlifting is kind of autistic, right? There's a lot of counting.
There's a lot of counting.
You're doing the same thing over and over again.
A lot of organization, a lot of stacking.
Yeah.
It's very regimented. And yeah, if something doesn't go my way, I fucking start crying. I get angry. It works.
Crying at the gym is a new one. Although, dude, the amount of shit I see at the Planet Fitness in Bushwick, Brooklyn,
that's right. Yeah,
it's wild. You know,
I believe it.
You have the older guy shadow boxing by the weight rack.
Here's the question: is it wild, or are you just seeing the greater spectrum of autism? Because remember,
it's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum.
Yeah, and listen, I do think the older guy shadow boxing, that is some sort of disability. That is some sort of disability. Because I see other old, because the first time I saw it, I'm like, well, that's what being a middle-aged man is, or even an older man, a boomer is. But I see other men of that age not doing that. So that's a particular type of person that wants to like shadow box at the gym, you know?
Oh my God. Now that you're saying it, I saw an old woman like hanging upside down. You know what the Smith machine is? Like, structured.
Oh, Rob, you're talking to a Planet Fitness Black Card member. Do I know what a Smith machine is?
Okay, fair.
Buddy, it's the only thing I use. That's not true. But they don't have
they don't have the free weights. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they do. They have free weights, but they don't have like you can't bench without a Smith machine.
That's correct. I'm sorry. Like the free weight benches section like that, like a bunch of else. Dude, this woman was swinging, like contorting her body, hanging upside down from it. The gym is closed at this point, but like when you talk about the Planet Fitness stuff, like she's probably at the gym right now. The most wild stuff. And I'm sorry, I'm going to go down a tangent. Please continue.
No, go on your tangent.
We don't have enough time for the can of worms that this is going to open up between people sprinting, hanging on, climbing. There's like a TV frame or whatever, like kind of looks like backstage production set. Or like they would do a curtain or whatever, and there's TVs and people that would just climb and do like the flagpoles and everything. It's just, it's miscellaneous crap that like I can't get into at this moment. Like my head will explode. But as you were saying we started talking about Planet Fitness before then, or did we just completely eat the bed on this one?
Yeah, I don't know how we got on this topic. I will say that it is
autism.
Oh yeah. Oh, because you want to do your first open mic, so you're gonna. I would advise against saying you have autism. Okay, but if you say this is my first open mic, everyone pays a little bit more attention, right? And you get the benefit of the doubt, right? And then you just say whatever you think is funny for however many. Most people give you 5 minutes.
Okay.
And the most important rule is that when someone gives you the signal that you have 1 minute left, is that you wrap up what you say and you don't take more than a minute.
Now, do you have any people, or have you seen anyone that's just like thrown that out and just like 10?
Oh, it's the worst. And I guess different scenes have different ways that they feel about it. New York is the most strict in that one time I saw a new comic. I think it was his first time. And he was like a young kid. I wouldn't be surprised if he was even in high school. And he's not doing well, which is fine. No one's expecting anybody to do well necessarily, but he got the signal that he has a minute left, right? And you even get a little grace with going over if you're new, right? Because maybe you didn't see it the first time, or you don't quite have everything timed perfectly in your head. But then he gives him like, all right, like he's waving. At most open mics, you have light on your phone. So you'll get what's called the light. The first show means you have a minute left. And then the second show means you got to get off right now. Right. There's no shame in it. So he's giving him the second thing and he's like, let me just finish. And the host was like, nope. And it was he was like, come on. And he's like, hey, it's over, because the thing is, if you let everyone do that, then the open mic is going to be hours long, right?
Yeah,
because I mean, most of us have. It's funny when I started, and you'll probably go through a similar experience. To be up there for 5 minutes was so long, and now there's no amount of time. Like now, I do an hour, and at the end of my hour, I'm still like, oh, I want to be up there more. Like it's never enough. You know what I mean? You always want to be up there longer because you always have more stuff to say.
You can say that. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to fill 5 minutes.
Well, yes, but that's a process. Like literally it's actually good that you feel that way, because if you felt like you're like, dude, I'm fucking hilarious and I could do 20 right now, that would show a lack of self-awareness that would make someone very insufferable and unfunny on stage. But dude, I know you since we were childhood friends and you've always made me laugh. It was, you, me, and Tim just making each other laugh in Catholic school.
I was curious if
7th
Tim was
grade.
Come up.
Yeah. I went to Tim's apartment, and his apartment is what mine could look like if I had a real job instead of doing this.
I could say the same. I could probably say the same. Then I'd have to go to the dogs. But I think every time you reach out to me, I'm always hoping like, hey, Tim's in the area.
Yeah. He's in Burlington, baby. I love Burlington, by the way. Shout out to Burlington.
Vermont?
Yeah.
Okay. Only because I do think there's another Burlington.
Do you have because I know you've traveled a lot for bodybuilding. Do you have a favorite place besides New York?
Oh, I do. My immediate answer is San Antonio.
Oh.
Just because is that the truth? It's probably the most exciting spot because I love St. Petersburg. It's a lot of fun. It's very attractive looking town, city, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But San Antonio, I've now been to twice, and the Riverwalk is gorgeous, like absolutely stunning. Also, some bullshit that my grandmother plays on me is I send her pictures because I'm at the Riverwalk and I'm just like, oh, okay, go fun. She's like, now mind you, like my grandfather has dementia. Like we just celebrated his 81st birthday this month. So I send her pictures like, yeah, just walking the Riverwalk. It's like 8:30 in the morning. No one's really out. She's like, oh, we never got to make it to the Riverwalk. Hope you enjoy. It's like, thanks. This is great.
I think at some point when you're old enough, you don't realize that the things you're saying could be deeply depressing. You know what I mean?
The things I'm saying now are deeply depressing.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even halfway there yet. But no, San Antonio is wonderful. Last time I went, I nearly fought a homeless person and came back with 3 cats. This isn't even like an exaggeration. Like the only reason I didn't bring the cats home is because there was literally like a barred fence in between us.
Aww.
I was walking back from a little convenience store that I shouldn't have gone to. And there was cute little homeless cats there, and then not so cute little homeless people over here. So walking by, saw the cats, saw the kittens. Old guy tried to like jump or charge at me or something. Fortunately, that didn't become anything. And I don't know the passport process to getting kittens home. So that would have been like another thing. But I did go to Denny's, and that's a staple because I love Denny's. And I know without context, that sounds a little odd, but that's like one of those things. I have to go to a Denny's if I'm ever traveling. And I can go anywhere. It just has to not be in New York. That's the catch. And a Golden Corral. If I can get those two, I've had a really good trip.
I love breakfast food. I simp for diner food a lot of the time. And that's because I'm very culturally Jersey, you know, so I just love a late night diner. But when you're at the diner, you do have to get breakfast food. I don't make the rules. Well, I did make that rule, but it's one I abide by.
I can't say anything about it. I just like to know that I'm going to see some shit I've not seen before, which is why I go to Denny's.
If you're from the South, you might prefer Waffle House. Denny's is Waffle House of the North. If anybody's wondering, you know.
I understand how jacked up Waffle House is. The amount of people that have been shot or like beat up or like fought. I've actually just been watching a lot of crime, and it was like a 30+ minute episode dedicated to Waffle House and like all the crazy stuff that's happened in there.
Well, and I'm sure we could do another hour talking about weird interactions that we've had with people, but we have reached our time, Rob. So why don't you tell the people where they could find you, and we'll go from there.
So if you don't want me to accept your friend request, you can follow me at vansant@ifbb.com. It's my Gmail, vansant.ifbb. Nothing personal. I just get a lot of weird messages. I get a lot of weird people. But shoot for it. Why not? Maybe I'll feel generous or something. I don't know. I don't get enough views on my dog videos. So
First of all, great content. If you love dog content, Rob is the place to go. And you could, is that wrong?
Food too.
And I mentioned at the beginning,
baked the cake in a little bit.
Next time you're on, we're going to have to talk about your delving into the culinary arts, because you are a great amateur chef, and I would love to try some of the food that you eat one day.
Now I feel bad. I should have brought you something.
Oh, that wasn't
next
me.
Time.
Yeah, next time. And there is going to be a next time. Rob, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course,
I really appreciate
me coming on.
And remember, folks, early to bed, earliest to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm just plain Night Owls. You know I love you.
Thank you.